Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep. And yes, we are finally doing One Piece. Seriously though, I've been wanting to cover One Piece for such a long time, but I've been away training in a cave, honing my abilities, and what better way to begin by using my balls deep observation hockey to explain what One Piece really is. Yes guys, I'm doing it. Is it a treasure? Is it a weapon? Or some damn books? Or is it just more giant hats? In reality, maybe just a huge piece of meat for Luffy to eat. But don't worry guys, cause I got you, and I'm going to break this down step by step. Okay, before I delve into the treasure of One Piece itself, I'm going to have to explain a couple of key concepts within the One Piece universe, which is more of a prerequisite to explain what One Piece could be. I'll quickly go over the geography, history, the power which governs the world, and even some conspiracies within the One Piece universe. Firstly, I'm going to explain the current world of One Piece, starting from its geography and how the world is split. An important thing to note is that the planet of One Piece isn't exactly like our Earth, such as the fauna of the planet, the various locations within the planets. Also, before the destruction of the Ohara Tree of Knowledge, it contained a geocentric based model of the world with 7 satellites either being artificial or natural, where one of them included the current world's moon, one of which had a second body orbiting it. After some time, it seems that these satellites disappeared or blown up, as the only current moon is witnessed within the series. Either way though, this planet doesn't seem like our Earth at all. So moving on, this world of One Piece is also distinguished by unique islands and the Blue Sea. The Blue Sea, which makes up the entire world, is divided into 4 seas, which are referred to as the North, South, East and West Blue, where they are separated vertically by one large continent known as the Red Line, and they are separated horizontally by a big chain of islands known as the Grand Line. Technically, you could actually say there are 5 seas, as the Grand Line is a separate sea enclosed by the Calm Belt, which are 2 regions that experience almost no wind, and the ocean currents make a perfect breeding ground for the huge sea creatures called Sea Kings. Because of this, the Calm Belts are very effective barriers for those trying to enter the Grand Line. To add to this, the Grand Line is also divided into 2 parts by the Red Line. First half of the Grand Line, which is located between the East and South Blue, is known by those who have been to the second half as Paradise. The second half is known as the New World. So you guys might be thinking by now, why is Anime Balls Deep explaining how the seas is split up? I thought he's going to tell us what One Piece is. We already know all of this, and I ain't here for this shit. Well, some of you guys might actually understand where I'm going, and those who don't, just hold on, as things will start making sense very soon. Going back to the One Piece treasure itself, it was actually given its importance to every new generation pirate and even us the audience because of the pirate king Gol D Roger. However, as we all know, the importance of One Piece isn't really associated with Roger. In fact, all Roger really did was bring attention to just the name One Piece. And recently, we discovered that One Piece and all Roger's treasure is held at the final island, Laugh Tale. But in reality, the location of Laugh Tale and the way to get there wasn't even determined by Roger. Roger didn't randomly find an island and decided this is where I shall leave all my treasure. But Laugh Tale itself was sought out by Roger and his crew, and the way to get there was always in the hands of the ancient civilization along with the ancestors of the Kozuki family who created the poneglyphs. So technically, by bringing attention to the location of this so-called treasure, he brought importance to Laugh Tale, which ultimately brought attention to the poneglyph, which not only contained the location to Laugh Tale but also consisted of historical information of the Void Century. This is because poneglyphs itself are separated into 3 types: historical, instructional, and most importantly, the road poneglyph hold the location to the special island Laugh Tale. However, if you play Roger's game to find One Piece, ultimately you will encounter all of these types of poneglyphs. So in the end, the journey to One Piece is to discover these poneglyphs and consequently learn about the history of the world. So what is this history, and why is it important that not only Roger wanted the world to discover, but it was was also engraved and preserved on mysterious objects by an ancient civilization? Well, it's pretty much the lost history within the One Piece world that consists of everything from the past monarchy along with the events during the Void Century, which occurred around 800 years ago. There is also the fact that the world government doesn't want anyone to know about this past, to the extent of using a buster code to eradicate the people of Alhara because they were researching the poneglyphs and could read the lost language. And due to this, we don't really know much about the Void Century. However, from the information that was revealed to us, what we do know is that there was an ancient great kingdom which ended up being destroyed by the 20 allied kingdoms. The reasoning behind the destruction of the great kingdom is not really explained yet in the series, but I'm going to later explain why the destruction happened according to my theory. However, so far what we know is that these allied kingdoms successfully defeated the great kingdom, and after doing so, 19 out of the 20 royal families of those allied kingdoms decided to move to a special place called Mary Joa. The family who decided to stay behind in the filthy commoner world was none other than our best girl Vivi's royal family of the Nefertari. And for those who don't know what Mary Joa is, well, it's basically like the holy land of the One Piece world, and it's also the capital of the world government. Those 19 royal families considered themselves the creators of the world, and they were nobles, so they called themselves the world nobles or the celestial dragons. From them, the world government was formed. Now, although a lot of the events happened after the formation of the world government, I want you guys to pull your attention back to the poneglyph. I mentioned that they consist of knowledge of the Void Century along with the location to Laugh Tale, but the poneglyph's history also mentions the three weapons of mass destruction: Pluton, Poseidon, and Uranus. Uranus. So with all of the information I mentioned so far, the theory goes like this. The concept of the One Piece treasure is either the missing knowledge of the Void Century, which the world government doesn't want anyone to know about, or the information about the location of the three weapons of mass destruction, or a unique object that could only be found in Laugh Tale, or something entirely different. But what exactly? Well, let's eliminate a few options. In an interview with Momoko Sakura, Oda confirmed that the One Piece is not something like the journey itself was the real treasure, and that it is in fact a physical reward. So it's not really knowledge or historical information itself. Could it be the weapons of mass destruction? Well, again, I don't think so. As we know, Poseidon is actually Shirahoshi, and that Pluton is a warship, and Uranus is currently unknown to the story at the moment. But we do have a theory regarding this, so if you want to know more about Uranus, hit that like button and let's shoot to 10,000 likes, and I will definitely make a theory on it. And while you're at it, why not ring that notification bell, as I will be covering One Piece on a weekly basis now. Well, hopefully. It all depends on you guys. So coming back, if it's not knowledge and if it's not the weapon of mass destruction, then what could it be? Well, according to this theory, One Piece is all blue. Yes guys, where have you heard this before? Well, all blue was actually first mentioned in chapter 56 and episode 26, where Sanji and some chefs discussed if all blue even exists. At this point, you guys be like, what the heck is all blue, Animal Balls? Well, it's as described as a legendary ocean rumored to be the only place in the world where the North, South, East and West Sea meets. And the so-called all blue in One Piece does exist. The theory goes like this. A long time ago in ancient history, which is around 900 years ago, before the start of the One Piece series, the world was ruled by a group known as the Ancient Civilization and some neighboring countries. This great civilization dominated the planet from one corner to the next. They were also said to have contributed to the formation of the great weapons of mass destruction I mentioned earlier. And what is currently revealed about this history is that in the same century, this great kingdom disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The only traces left behind of their civilization are the poneglyphs. Now, from everything, I need to reiterate the main indication for this great kingdom's disappearance was the organization of the 20 kings coming together to form an alliance known as the world government. Individually, these kingdoms couldn't do shit to the great kingdom. However, this alliance played a part in a great war against this ancient civilization, where this alliance was said to have come out victorious. Now, as the alliance came into power, they controlled and concealed everything that had happened in that last 100 years, at the same time outlawing worldwide the ability to research and read the poneglyph. So basically, all historical information from 900 years to 800 years from the start of the series were lost due to the censorship by the world government, hence the term Void Century. Now, this type of tactics happens in real real life by our rulers and leaders, but I ain't here to go into some political scandals. But this really does showcase how big brain Oda really is. So let's try to understand this. Why would it be so important for the new rulers, the world government, to conceal these events? Well, one reason would be to hide either injustice or wrongful usurping of power or other immoralities. However, considering the type of people the world nobles are, immoralities wouldn't really be a logical reason to go so far. The more likely reason would be to destroy an idea, as an idea, a belief, or any kind of notion can influence masses to levels beyond any control. And if the idea seems absurd and dangerous to one group of people, then that would be more than enough to take such drastic measures. So to break things down, the theory is that within the Void Century, the great civilization and kingdom proposed a powerful idea that shook the world. The neighboring countries believed this idea was so dangerous that they would team up and destroy this ideology. So what did these ancient people dream of? What did they propose to do that was so crazy to even threaten the neighboring countries? Well, you guys should have guessed it by now. The idea was to break the barriers within the world by unifying the seas, where doing all of this, it would create all blue. Since the existence of the red line, people around the world became restricted within their respective seas. Usually, if you were born in the North Blue, you would die in the North Blue, and so on. The ancients saw this as an obstacle, so they came up with a plan to make a hole located on the intersection between the Grand Line and the Red Line. This hole makes the 4 different oceans into one piece. Get it? One piece.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, this plan was opposed by the other nations who thought it would disrupt the balance of the world. As a result, the Great War took place and the ancients lost. However, as preparation for this outcome, the ancients made indestructible stone walls, or as we know it, poneglyphs, in inscripting their history along with clues for the way to achieve their dream of One Piece. Throughout the series, it's hinted in order for One Piece to be achieved, the Holy Land of Marijoa and Fishman Island would have to be destroyed since it's located right under the intersection of the 2 lines. To add more basis to this theory, in the Fishman Island arc, we saw the fortune teller, Madam Sharky or Shirley or Shay Shay, whatever you like to call her foreseeing that the Fishman Island would be destroyed by Luffy. This vision is evidence for this theory, as while on the path of achieving the dream of One Piece, Luffy would have to destroy Fishman Island, and consequently the dream of the mermaid princess to move to land with her people and gaze at the blue sky rather than the blue sea would also be achieved. Now let's move on to the 3 ancient weapons, Pluton, Poseidon and Uranus. These weapons are actually needed to carry out this task in creating One Piece. The citizens of the Fishman Island were made a promise by Joy Boy, possibly the king or member of the ancients. The promise was that they would be given a new home. With Poseidon's aid, they would call all the citizens to move to the upper surrounding sea by gathering their people in the ship Noah while being led by the Sea King under Poseidon's control. However, the plan was never fulfilled, leaving Joy Boy to write the promise on the poneglyphs to serve as a clue to One Piece. Moving on to the other 2 weapons, Pluton may have been an indestructible battleship and Uranus a devil fruit or technology which enables the control of the weather. All 3 weapons are needed in unison to complete this task in unifying the sea. Poseidon's ability to unify the Sea Kings in order to relocate the fish people, where Pluton would possibly be the actual weapon to cause the hole, and Uranus would be needed to control the unusual weather of the sea, as we know how unpredictable the sea of the New World and the Grand Line can be. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the world nobles went through great lengths to prevent this dream to become reality, but despite their efforts, many gained the knowledge of the poneglyphs, including Gol D Roger. Gol D Roger was able to successfully decipher the poneglyphs with the help of Odin, and even left a message of his own which he hoped would inspire others to follow his path. Roger didn't fulfill the plan, perhaps this was because of his incurable disease. This may add to the explanation of why he wanted to be executed in such fashion, so he could incite the next generation and spread the message of One Piece to the public so they could do what the ancients and himself couldn't. There is also a follow-up theory that everyone with the initial D in their name are in fact the descendants of these ancient people, and from them the will for One Piece will be carried out. Now by now you guys are probably thinking, what the hell, Anime Balls Deep, the video is about to end and I still don't know what the One Piece treasure is. Well, honestly, it's literally everything I just mentioned. Firstly, it's just a pirate treasure like gold and wealth that either Gol D Roger accumulated or simple wealth which is just sitting in Laugh Tale. I also believe that Laugh Tale to have the remnants of the ancient kingdom, possibly being an important location for them centuries ago. Along with that, I also believe the history of the world is also located in Laugh Tale, including the history of the moon, Skypiea, the devil fruits, and the ancestors of the will of D. But out of everything, the biggest treasure will be the last and final poneglyph that will tell everyone what is all blue and how to achieve it. That is One Piece. Okay guys, this is where I'm going to cut the video short. But fear not, because I still have a lot to cover regarding this theory. I haven't even gone over Im Sama, the giant straw hat under Marijua, or even some new information we learned during Odin's flashback, where we saw Toki, who was from the Void Century and had the letter. There is so much to discuss, and this is only the beginning of this massive adventure relating to the elusive treasure of One Piece. Don't forget to hit that like button so we can get this video over 10k likes. With that guys, I'll see you till next time.